If you're building on Solana, your infrastructure provider affects you more than just an endpoint access. It affects latency, reliability, support, and how your app actually behaves during production. And when teams compare actually serious Solana infrastructure providers, three names come a lot: Helius, Triton, and GetBlock. Let's compare them. When teams compare infrastructure provider prices, they focus to monthly prices. This is not really correct. The better question is, what happens when the usage grows? With Helius, the value is clear. The paid shared plan goes from $49 to $499 and $999. At the developer tier, you get 50 RPC, business gives you a 200 RPC, and professional tops out at 500 RPC. With Triton, the pricing is much more premium from the start. And actually, they recently moved away from this traditional pricing model. You actually pay for what you use, based on two real cost drivers: bandwidth and compute complexity. GetBlock stands up here because our proposal is simply more practical. The paired shared plans are $49, $199, $499, and $999. So there is much smoother progression from small teams to bigger ones. And of course, you will get 20% discount for annual plans. On shared plans, GetBlock scales up to 1000 RPC nodes. With Triton is about 1200 RPC, and Helios tops out lower on this share plan. So if you want the best balance between cost, usable throughput, and smoother path to production scales, GetBlock got you back. Now let's talk about dedicated infrastructure, because if all of those three providers offer dedicated infra, it doesn't mean that they all offer the same thing. With Helios, the dedicated story is really strong for specific Solana workloads, and Helios deserves real credit not for just a good product, but for real deep R&D. Starting with get transaction address function, and of course 10x faster archival data fetching. That said, the dedicated offer feels more specialized than broad. And if we are talking about Triton, the dedicated story here is really strong. This is premium infrastructure for demand Solana workloads, especially backend heavy and performance sensitive systems. They were not just building on top of Solana, they actually built this category itself. Most notably, Triton actually created Dragon's Mouth, which became the foundation of the Yellowstone gRPC. They also offer hybrid deployment options, which makes their focus very clear: specialized high-performance production systems. GetBlock is different. Its strength is less about protocol-level authorship. It's more about offering a complete production-ready infrastructure with guaranteed RPC, predictable latency, custom builds, under 1 second archive access, Yellowstone gRPC included, and of course, support for custom binaries and Jito. That's important because most teams, they don't just ask if we can get this dedicated support. They actually ask if they can get a reliable part of our infrastructure stack. And on that question, GetBlock can definitely provide. Now let's get to performance. On Solana, obviously it matters a lot, but I think that the good question here is not just who is the fastest on this Wild West, but who can provide real, visible, and trustable performance story. With Helios, the performance reputation is strong. With Triton, performance is also a major part of value proposition. Their global average latency is presented in the 50 to 100 millisecond range, which is a serious number. And what makes GetBlock especially compelling in the sphere, because we can provide you 50 milliseconds P50 and 161 milliseconds P95. On the global Solana Pro side, we are talking about 110 to 130 millisecond range. And beyond that, GetBlock actually positions its higher performance Solana stack around latency as low as 14 milliseconds in Europe, global average below 100 milliseconds. And in confirmation, just under half of the second for 99.99% cases. So the point is, GetBlock is not just fast, it offers you a much fuller performance story among different usage cases. Now we're talking about the most nuanced category, because if we asking ourselves or your team a question, who is the most strongest among Solana, if we are talking about native RPC node provider, both Helius and Triton are really strong. They're not just companies, they're actually teams that build one of the best toolkits on the market. In a sense, they actually set a standard in this sphere. With Triton, for example, the specialization is obvious. They provide Project Yellowstone components, indexes, trading, plumbing, and hybrid deployment. And Helios has done the same thing, but on its own, with extremely strong tooling, advanced workflows, and a very high product quality bar for Solana infrastructure. GetBlock looks at this company like a serious standard to match. On our side, we combine fast transaction delivery, low latency streams, MEV protection, gRPC/Yellowstone, and index archive access in one stack. On top of that, the broader Solana offers include more specialized performance layer like stream first, land first, and trade first. So, who's better? And actually, the better question is for what your team is optimizing for. If your priority is the deepest Solana-native specialization, protocol adjacent innovation, or the strongest research pedigree, both Solana and Triton worth your trust and deserve a real credit. But if you look at the problem more from the product and operational side, the question here is not just who is the most specialized. The question is who gives you the most valuable operating model overall. That means a smoother pricing ladder, serious performance, production-ready dedicated infrastructure, stronger support, regional deployment flexibility, and a higher degree of customization around real customer needs. And that's where GetBlock stands out. It turns strong Solana infrastructure into a more flexible, more usable, and more complete product. And for many companies, that product experience is what matters the most. So if you want to evaluate it yourself, the next step is obvious. Try GetBlock's Solana RPC with your actual workload. My name is Sergey, and I'm DevRel at GetBlock. See you.